Thank you, Fiona. Thanks for having us. Thanks to Kathy and Dee who opened up the boats for us today. And thank you all of you who came, who took out their Friday evening to just open up your minds and just get a little bit more awareness of what's happening in the fashion world, what's happening with up-and-coming designers, and what you can do in your own small lives as we feel that it's sometimes a bit overwhelming. The reason we're here this week in particular is because Sunday will be the 3rd anniversary of the Rana Plaza event, which killed over 1,100 individuals working for slow fashion. And we would like to make us more aware of what's going on, help us to appreciate what the clothes we buy actually do to the people that make them. And then ask those questions of who made our clothes. And we've got fantastic designers here today that will be on our panel later so that you can ask those questions. And really it's about awareness and what we know and what we don't know. And speaking to people about this topic, I found that in many ways we're very similar to a 3-year-old going to the supermarket with his mum and buying a carton of milk. Now, what does that 3-year-old think where the milk comes from? To that 3-year-old, the milk comes from the supermarket. He doesn't think any further about, well, hang on, there's a farmer, there's a cow, there has to be grass, there has to be milking process, there has to be transportation to the shops, there has to be packaging. All of those things are not part of the awareness of a 3-year-old. Now with fashion, with clothes, are we sometimes like that 3-year-old? Do we sometimes just go into the shop and assume what's there is just there? It came out of nowhere from this phantom hand, and it's an infinite supply of clothes, and every week we come there's something new, and it's just there. And we might just be like that 3-year-old. Not all of us, not all the time, but for the majority of it we do feel overwhelmed by the lack of transparency in the fashion industry. And that links us back to the milk. Well, if we look at it, we've got loads of legislation to require labelling, to tell us exactly where that milk was made, what's in it, who made it. We don't have that equal level of legislation for clothing labels. We feel almost powerless to make good choices, because whether we buy something for £3 or for £30 to us, well, the only difference is a name. One label says 100% cotton, the second one says 100% cotton. Where's the difference? Why does the one cost 3, the other one 30? One says made in Bangladesh, the second one says made in Bangladesh. So really, there doesn't seem to be transparency in the label, of our clothes. And that's really where it leads us to working out what are our criteria for making those choices, for being a little more aware of where our clothes come from. And to do that, I would just like to get it out there to you. What are your criteria for buying a piece of clothing? Can I just have a shout out? Anything? What do you think about when you say, okay, I want to go and buy a top, I'm going out this weekend and I need something new? What's your criteria?
Price.
Price. Very good. Budget. So what about that price? If it's a bargain, oh my goodness, we're even more thrilled. Somehow, the fact that something's a bargain makes it the most desirable object, just because there is a percentage next to the price. You know, we all just find ourselves bragging sometimes, I've got that for, and then put in the lowest price you could possibly imagine. And it's almost like a competition with our friends, like, who got the cheaper deal? So budget is definitely one of our main criteria to choose an outfit. Can we have another one? Anyone? Sorry?
The brand?
The brand. Very good. So what does that tell us? Brand. There's more to this, not just the name of a brand, but also what's in fashion at the moment. So brand and fashion, what we are influenced by the markets, by the marketing and trends. All of that is another reason why we make choices. Okay, so we imagine ourselves in the shop. We've got a piece of clothing which is on an amazing bargain. It's spot on trend. Why do we still not buy it? What's another reason? Quality, yes. Material, okay. What's another one? Much more basic, much more basic.
If we like it.
We like it. Very good. So, if it fits in with our personality. The truth is, if we have something that's on offer and that's in fashion, but we don't like it, will we buy it? Well, we won't. If it meets our personality and it's in fashion, but it's not nowhere within our budget, we won't. So currently, these three are pretty much interlinked, more or less. But that is where our choices stop when we buy. Often. They stop often. So that then leads to impulse buys. When a garment meets those three criteria, well, then we say, wonderful, hey, bang on, I found that piece I was looking for. Have we all found ourselves there at some point? May have. Now, I want to introduce you to two more criteria when you're buying something new. There are two other ways of being sustainable in your clothing habits, but this is now talking about when you buy something new. And I'll introduce you to something I call the DNA of our clothes. What do I mean by that? Well, if you know that not every color works for you, and that not every shape will work for your body shape, then you realize that you're already limiting, out of this massive amount of clothes that you have out there, you're limiting it down by color and by body shape. And that can be done through color analysis, which is something I offer as a personal stylist. So if you are interested, come and see me afterwards. But if you realize that here we have an impulse buy, right? But the moment we're giving that extra little bit of stop, think, the extra little bit of thought to say, is it my color? Is it my body shape? Will it last me for years? Do I genuinely like it? Asking yourself those extra questions will make that garment last much longer. If you have it for your color and for your body shape, it will also incorporate in your wardrobe much better, which means you'll need less clothes, so you can do more with less, which is again very sustainable. You're just not impulse buying. You would buy any color here, you can buy any shape. But with that little bit of extra knowledge, you're actually making a difference. So you could buy, if you wanted, from any brand, even those that are not sustainable, sorry I said this, if you have actually done the extra thinking, because you're actually buying less. You're buying what's right for you and what will last you for a long time. So that's my fourth point that I would introduce you to. We've got budget, we've got personality, we've got brand and fashion, trends, but now here is the DNA of clothes. So we're actually adding something into that thought process. And now the fifth one, and that's what we're all here for today, is values. And there are many. If we have a look at the values that we can add into our buying choices, then we have, for example, organic. We want it to be organic. Why would we want to have organic cotton? Well, genetically modified cotton, especially in India, comes from one monopoly source. They are selling the seed to the farmer. That same company then sells the toxicides that they need to treat that cotton. And that very same company also sells the medication to treat the diseases that come from the toxics that are used on those plants. Sadly, every 30 minutes a a cotton farm in India commits suicide because he can't pay back those debts to that company. So that's something we might feel very strongly about. To also realize, well, an ordinary cotton shirt like this will take 2,700 litres of water to make. Or genetically modified cotton is very thirsty, whereas organic cotton needs much less water. And we've got fair trade, we've got vegan, we've got fantastic vegan designers here. Again, we want to think about this. Well, we feel that the food industry is our excuse to wear leather. Well, yes, there are certain designers who choose to certify the grounds that their cows are feeding off so that they don't chop off the rainforests in Brazil. But sadly, a lot of leather is actually not coming as a byproduct of the food industry. It's not coming through that channel. And also the toxins that are used for leather dyeing processes then again have a massive impact on the communities where the pollution is just everywhere. So we can see that we have so many different values that we can touch on. We've got second hand here, and Rendezvous is a pioneer in us actually renting rather than buying. For myself, I feel very strongly about transparency. When a company is asked who make their clothes and they pull out a policy from their website, I'm like, yeah, no, not having that, sorry. So who are these people? And they can't tell me, and I get really cross with them. And then, sorry, but I'm not going to buy from you because you can't answer those questions. Just be honest. If you don't know what dyes you're using, well then just say, I don't know, but don't pretend. So what I'm trying to help you to appreciate is that if we were to take on all of these values, we would be overwhelmed. It would just kill us. We would just end up feeling, oh my goodness, I can't buy at all. So my suggestion to you for today is to pick one of them. Pick one of these values that you feel strongly about. Something where you're going to do a bit of research on, where you're going to say, well, I'm going to find this out and I'm going to ask specifically for that thing. I want to know whether a garment was made locally. And we have some amazing local designers here. I'm going to ask whether anything was recycled or how much wastage was. Whatever it is that's important to you, make that your thing. Don't try and implement all of them. That's just overwhelming. Choose one. Choose one and stick with it. And you'll feel happy and your wardrobe is good. You can move on to another one. If all of us just pick the one we feel most passionate about, well then ultimately we're going to collectively ask for all of them. So this is a part of sustainable fashion where I as a stylist would guide you to remember those five criteria. Even if we put in values, we still want something that's in fashion. We still want something that reflects our personality. We still want something that meets our budget. But we're adding one more in. And that is really the key to making it happen. The key for us to feel we can do our small part. It's not a massive task. It's adding one more thing in. And you will find it easier if you put in colour and body as well. But these are the five that I suggest we look at. And that's particularly for buying new clothes. But really, if we think about buying, that shouldn't be the one and all. I give credit to this picture to Instagram, a wonderful place. And here we can see that buying is only a very small fraction of what should make up our wardrobe. If we can use three elements, we've got one that's new, another one where we use second-hand or something that has been handed down, and a third one where we use what we have. So those three elements will really help us to make our wardrobe more sustainable in a very simple way, a very painless way, You don't have to throw everything out and say, oh, it's all wrong, and I'm going to start fresh, and then you feel like you have to meet 5 trillion criteria, and it's like, oh, okay, can't do this. But we don't want you to feel that way. Please just remember, when you do buy, add in one more value. When you my mum made this skirt for me, for example, I'm really proud of it, then that will give you that experience of what it's like to put value into that piece of clothing. So these are 2 ways of getting new things. But then there's also thrift, swap and borrow, where we've got fantastic opportunities through swap parties, which I host at this location as well, and we've got Rendezvous, who help us to use clothes that we may not even be able to afford, so we come back to the budget issue. But because we rent them on a weekly basis, it's all fine. And then the last one, and that's the easiest, use what you have. Don't discard your old pieces. Try to mend them, try to take care of them. Really think about it. Well, even if I can't use it anymore, where's it going to go? How can I extend that life that made it? There were people who actually sat down on a sewing machine to make it for you. So my pledge to you is to value those pieces and to value their work. Thank you.